because these housemates are deliberately, sometimes unconsciously, driving him crazy. Like, guys, it's like a war zone in that house. We're talking about 23 other adults, yeah, all converged under one roof, competing for fame, for money, for opportunities, for recognition, for everything you can think of with regards to how one can further their lives and their careers, after 71 days. And because of that reason, everybody is moving mad. Oh, the icing on the cake, of course, is the theme of the season, show yourself. So everybody is showing their fucking self. Everybody's showing their damn self. And it just so happens that Chimsom is the first head of house of the season. He's the head of house in the week where everybody, including himself, is really trying to show themselves to us, the viewers, to continuously make that first impression, to continuously introduce and reintroduce us to their personalities. It so happens that it's the head of house in the week where everybody is gradually, layer by layer, but not slowly though, trying to unleash to us, the viewers. And so for all of those reasons, Chimsom is very, very frustrated. This dude, this dude is losing his mind. And my God, as much as I find it exciting, because of course, Gloria Elijah loves chaos, in a way, I kind of feel sorry for him. But at the same time, I am glad that he is gradually shifting from that kumbaya, one big family mentality. Yeah, because he's been getting frustrated. Every single minute of the day, he's getting frustrated. So the guy is no longer particular about that one big happy family bullshit anymore. Now, when you listen to his speeches, during their meetings, he's literally telling them that, listen, I don't give a fuck if you decide to take voluntary exit and leave. I don't give a fuck if you fight. I don't give a fuck if you get disqualified, but do not fuck up my structure as head of house. Now, that shift happened sometime yesterday evening, during a conversation he had with Neche. I think it dawned on him that, listen, kumbaya is not going to work this season. Yes. So that shift happened yesterday evening. However, Chimsom had an explosive moment with his fellow housemates this morning. As a matter of fact, he lashed out at them. And ladies and gentlemen, it was a really intense moment. I call it Chimsom's few seconds of a para moment. It was insane. And ladies and gentlemen, frankly speaking, I was glad that he did that because it got the instant impact he needed to achieve at that point in time. There's a lot to it. I will be spilling the details on this video. Now, still speaking about the same arena, the same morning, ladies and gentlemen, there were one or two conversations that happened between certain housemates about certain other housemates. Ladies and gentlemen, the tension is brewing. Conflicts are rising. Listen, it's going to be a long season, all right? Details coming still on this video right now. Before we address these particular issues that happened this morning with the head of house, with other housemates in the arena, let's talk about the fight that happened in the early hours of this morning between Kamsi and Mercedes in the toilet. Ladies and gentlemen, it will hurt you and shock you to know that it was over a used pad, which Kamsi forgot in the toilet. Now, it was sort of like a dicey situation for me because I was mad at both girls. Yes, one forgot the pad and was trying to get into the toilet to check if it was hers and to get it. The other, who caught the thing, right, was kind of trying to cause a scene, more like trying to publicly shame the person who forgot the pad. So I was mad at both of them. Now, who used the pad and forgot it? It was Kamsi. See, as a matter of fact, last night was just like a show of embarrassment for Kamsi. First, she had a nip slip in front of some of the guys. There was Sultex. There was some other person. I can't remember the person's name, but she had a nip slip. And she's always talked about how busty she is, how she wished she wasn't that busty. So I think they were having this conversation. I think she was overly excited. And the next thing, boom, her nipple slipped out of her clothes. And she had to quickly turn. And I don't know if the guys caught it, but it was a really embarrassing moment. And then there was a part where she forgot her used pad. And listen, I was mad at this girl. But at the same time, I could understand because it happens to the best of us sometimes. Yes, I do not think there is any woman in this world, in fact, on the face of this earth, that will claim that they have never forgotten their pad in the toilet or the bathroom and then quickly ran back in to go pick it up. Yes, sometimes it slips our mind. Sometimes we just have a lot going on up here and then we forget it. However, I was kind of hoping that the ladies in the house especially will remember that, hey, we are strangers in this house. There's just a lot of us in this house. So during our monthly flow, we need to be very, very conscious and aware of our environment, where we sit, so that you don't go and, just sit down carelessly and then you stain the sofas. I mean, nobody is saying you shouldn't be in your natural element, but at the end of the day, the disgrace is going to come to you. That is one of the burdens that we carry as women, right? And there's also the other part where, hey, it's a public house, it's a public toilet, it's a public bathroom. So when you're cleaning up when you're cleaning up yourself during your monthly flow, you should remember to clean up after yourself. It might be you sitting on the toilet seat and then you take a pee and before you know it, some residue of blood is staining the toilet seat. Ladies, you know what I mean. So you just have to look around after you do your business. It's either after you shower or after you use the toilet to pee or do number two. Just look around you to ensure that you're not leaving any blood stains anywhere. And then especially your pad, you are checking to be sure that you are not leaving the used pad, the used or unused pad itself in that space that you're just leaving, or anything that will leave a hint that someone who is on their monthly flow has just used that place. Yes. So it was quite sad that Kamsi probably forgot. Yes. And turns out that Mercedes was the one who found the used pad, and Mercedes literally stayed in that toilet and held onto the door and was refusing to allow Kamsi access into the toilet to come and remove the pad. And I was sort of upset because I felt at that point in time that, okay, in the real world, I would be so pissed at Mercedes and I will call her, I don't know, maybe a pick me or what? Because for me, I'll be like, girl, what are you trying to prove? You are a woman just like this girl. Why are you trying so hard to shame her? Why are you trying to disgrace her? That, hey, you left your pad here. It could happen to anyone, right? But at the same time, I had to remind myself that, hey, Bbnaija, hold on a second. This is a show. And the theme of the season is show yourself. So whatever Mercedes was doing at that point in time she was aggressively showing herself. Because I thought it was a joke. I thought it was all plays at first. But then the way she was dragging the door and then she closed the door and she was rubbish. You think I'm joking? She was just going off at Kamsi. And Kamsi was even chill about it. She was even nice about it. Or probably ashamed of herself because I think on a normal day, Kamsi would probably have stood up for herself. Or if it was some other person like Oyin, who knows how to fire for fire, right? She probably would have also returned the same energy to Mercedes. But Kamsi, on the other hand, was sort of, overly calm. And it was obvious that it was shame that she was feeling at that point in time. And she she was begging, but Mercedes was not allowing. And I don't know how she took it at that point in time, but it was just wild to me. Yeah. So overall, that was the situation, and the head of house had to address it this morning. Yeah, he had to address it. I'm glad he did not name names, though. I'm glad he did not name names because that would have been Yeah, that would have been unnecessary, in my opinion. But ladies and gentlemen, the question I would want to ask all of you is, if you were Kamsi in that situation, what would you have done? Would you have fought back? Or would you have said, okay, you know what? We want to show ourselves, right? Let's go for it. Or, I don't know, but what would you have done? Go ahead, let me know in the comments section below. Now, same last night, there was a conversation between Araga and Abby, and then a bit later, Gadessa joined them. Abby is still going on and on about this thing of the lack of respect from Chimsom, the head of house. She's still upset because she sort of feels marginalized. She still sort of feels like Chimsom does not respect her enough and does not necessarily carry her along in his duties as head of house. And ladies and gentlemen, I was sort of taken aback because in my head I was thinking like, girl, come on. At least when this guy was organizing Martin's birthday celebration earlier, he had given you important roles and tasks to handle. And he himself had actually taken the back seat and allowed Sheba, someone else entirely, to be at the forefront of everything. So why, anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that was what I was saying in my head. But you see, yeah, I wasn't particularly surprised because at the end of the day, it's a game, right? And Habi has a way of telling people about people whom she feels maybe they are a threat to her game, or maybe she just wants to make you a target. Yeah. The moment she sees that you have a strong personality, stronger than hers, possibly she begins to spread tales about you, more like a smear campaign. She did that about Godessa, and now she's doing it about Chimsom. Yeah. And this morning, Godessa was having a conversation about it again with Chimsom. Yeah, so I don't know if Chimsom is going to call her for a conversation much later because at this point, I am sort of doubting that because Chimsom is now on a I do not give a fuck type of level. Yeah, he's fed up with the housemates' disrespect. And so I do not know if he would want to have such a conversation, but fingers crossed, let's wait and see. Now, speaking about Chimsom, the head of house, yesterday there was a conversation between him and Neche. Dude was complaining about the continuous disrespect from the rest of the house towards him as head of house. According to him, it feels like the housemates do not respect him as head of house enough. And I honestly did not want to see it as an issue because, as I said before, this is a space where all of these housemates are strangers. They probably have run into each other at events before, but I don't think they've ever lived together before to understand each other's characteristics enough, right? So it's quite expected that there's going to be a clash of personalities. People are going to be untidy. People are going to just get on people's nerves and step on people's toes. And that was exactly, what's already happening. So Chimsom was really frustrated and Necha was actually laughing at him and telling him that, dude, I told you that you were going to suffer. I told you that this is exactly what's going to happen. And watch out when other people become head of house. You will see that they will even do worse. Like you will see that they will turn to Voltrons, right? And you see, it was a very, very hilarious conversation because after Neche left, Chimsom was left thinking about his life and thinking about the next line of action, what to do to assert his authority in that house. And ladies and gentlemen, it might seem as though that was what he dreamt about last night as he slept. Because this morning, by the time Big Brother's alarm went off, and he had been instructed to lead the housemates into the arena just like he had done yesterday. Ladies and gentlemen, Chimsom was ready for battle. Like he was ready for a fight instantly because most of the housemates were dragging their feet. Most of them, as usual, slept late, and so they were finding it difficult to leave their bed. And then even though he kept on calling them and calling them and calling them to come out, and they were dragging their feet, and they were not even paying attention to the instructions as given to him by Big Brother to issue to the house, he lost it. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, he went off on these housemates. And I'm going to be frank about it. I loved the things he said to them. He told them, look, you must respect me as the head of house because I am the head of house. And whatever I am telling you to do right now are instructions from Big Brother himself. If you feel you're too big to do it, there is the door. Feel free to take a voluntary exit and leave the show. Nobody is going to hold you back. You cannot be too big to do what Big Brother is asking you to do. Like, guys, it was like a military boot camp at that point in time. And you see, the housemates were kind of shocked because, Chimsom had been preaching kumbaya, kumbaya since on Monday evening, after emerging the head of house. But they have just been dilly-dallying. And so the guy was fed up and he was literally scolding them like the kids they have been behaving like. Yes. And it also got Chimsom's results because they started acting right. Yeah. Now, it was a struggle at first because they were dragging their feet, but Chimsom did not relent. He did not stop there. He went on again, shouting at all of them that, listen, if you were given 10 million right now, you're going to be sprinting around this arena. So you have to walk faster. If you cannot run, walk faster. You cannot run, walk faster. And he was on their neck. Kamsi especially, that one, she's always, struggling to run fast. Chimsom was on her neck. And Kamsi had to comply. And so it went on and on and on. And at the end of the day, they had a good time working out in the arena. It was a good one. They enjoyed themselves. They were glad for the exercises. Yes. And see, I ended up giving accolades to Chimsom because how could he have done it? How could he have achieved their compliance? Because those housemates were genuinely frustrating him. I mean, guys, they were genuinely frustrating. But Chimsom did not stop there. He did not. Because after their workout session, he had called for a meeting immediately in the lounge. And once again, he had reiterated to all of them that moving forward, it does not give a fuck about what anybody thinks about his reign as head of house. But so long as he's the head of house, there must be structure. So he addressed a number of things. First, he addressed the used part in the toilet. As I said, I appreciated the fact that he did not call Kamsi's name. Yeah. So he just put it out there that they need to be conscious of their hygiene and how they litter things around in the restroom because it is a safe space for everybody. It is a general space and everybody needs to be considerate of, other people using it as well. And then he also addressed the part of people eating and not washing plates, i.e., Keivo had prepared soup for most people in the house yesterday, and he was left alone to cook. He cleaned up after himself after cooking alone, which wasn't the agreement they all had on Monday evening. Also, people who ate the food, they left the plates in the kitchen for him to wash, and he washed it. Guys, me personally, I was pissed. But then again, Keivo decided to do it, so let him do it. Yeah. But Chimsom was not happy about it because that was not the agreement they had when they had their first general meeting. So he cautioned the housemates again about them not cleaning up after themselves. Now, the next thing they talked about was, littering the kitchen after use. Yes, people who cooked different kinds of meals, noodles, leaving the wraps on the kitchen counter, just littering the whole place. They talked about it again. And then there was also the case of wastefulness. Ladies and gentlemen, turns out that yesterday, people cooked so many eggs and could not finish it. And some of them, they left it in their plates in the kitchen and just left it uncovered and it went bad or it went sour by this morning. I mean, guys, that one really pained me because, ladies and gentlemen, the price of egg is quite expensive currently in Nigeria. So the fact that these housemates are aware of all of these things that they would not do on a normal day in their lives outside, they are doing it in Big Brother's house. I say, this one is annoying. And then he also talked about conflicts when people want to sleep. He addressed the fact that even though they had had this conversation before, housemates are still noisy at night when others are trying to sleep. And then in the morning, when Big Brother's alarm goes off, when they're all supposed to march into the arena for their workout session, people are dragging their feet, people are complaining they're tired, they haven't had enough sleep. So he brought it up again and reiterated that, listen, Anybody that wants to get themselves disqualified, go ahead. Anybody that wants to fight and get automatically disqualified, go ahead. But he wouldn't want them to do things that would jeopardize the safety and the well-being of the general house. I also loved the fact that he reminded the housemates that he is not their slave. He's not their houseboy. He's the head of house. So if they need anything from Big Brother, they should come to him, tell him about it, and then he would make a list of their demands and then report to Big Brother. Also, the part about battery change. Ladies and gentlemen, these housemates are doing the same thing that previous season's housemates did. Head of house will call for battery change. They will stay wherever they are for the head of house to bring the batteries to them and change. So he reminded them that, listen, I did not bring you here. And honestly, I am not going to be coming to you to come and help you change your batteries. So the moment you hear Big Brother talk about battery change, just troop into the house to come and change your battery by yourself. I said, yes. Now we're talking. Now we are talking. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I was scared that Chimsom was going to carry on with this whole kumbaya business. But I was so relieved and excited that now we're going to be getting proper drama from these housemates. Because, come on, let me carry you come. Let me and you follow come. No. Come and play your game. Come and show yourself. Simple and short. But ladies and gentlemen, question to all of you. Do you love this new Chimsom? What are your thoughts about the way he has started addressing the housemates? Let me know in the comment section below. Now, finally, a matter arising in the house, beginning from conversations in the arena, as I mentioned before. Ladies and gentlemen, this one is an issue between Nomi and Ricky. So, turns out that Ricky and Nomi, they might not be having conversations. In fact, they might not be talking to each other till the end of this season. And this is a declaration from Nomi. According to her I call it a vent because she was really venting to Godessa this morning in the arena. She was saying that, oh, Ricky came talking to her about something, and then he was pointing finger at her, and she was quite upset that he was supposed to come and apologize to her, but he never apologized. And then today, he was talking to her like, nothing happened, and she was quite upset, like, no, you did something to me the other day. You're supposed to apologize first. And the guy walked away. So according to her, she's not going to talk to him till he leaves the house because he's disrespectful, he's too prideful. But that's how on the other hand was saying that, oh, she doesn't like the guy, that the guy is acting like he's Big Brother in the house, that he's giving pussy energy, just saying a lot of things. Now, Ricky, on the other hand, was telling his own side of the story to Barry. And according to him, he doesn't even understand where this whole problem is coming from because apparently he and Nomi were in a room in one of the bedrooms and Nomi had told him to leave. And he was saying that, why should I leave? Even though I'm dancing, even though I'm singing, even though I'm doing whatever, you have no right to tell me to leave. He said that was the matter. But then before he knew it, Nomi had gone ahead to go and gather females and tell them, or rather told them that, oh, Ricky was toasting her to be his girlfriend and she refused, and that is why they're having issues. That the next thing, that is what Nomi is spreading to the whole house. And I'm like, from where to where? Crazy. Like really crazy. So currently in the house, Godessa, Nomi, they have been spreading tales about Ricky. So, ladies and gentlemen, what are your thoughts about this whole situation? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And I'll see you guys on another video soon. Thanks for watching. Have an amazing day. Bye.